We have two men with similar hairstyles having a meeting here. Please continue enjoying your lunch. Welcome. It's good to see you. Yeah, it's always good to see you. And I feel like I should thank you because DC Cable's sort of your TV network, and thank you for having us on it. It's been a treat.
It's our pleasure.
Yeah, well, good. Okay, now, we're done. I was thinking today, I was listening to all the news, and of course, you're all over the metro section. You know, there's who knows how many headlines and pictures to go with it. And I thought, well, it could be worse. We'd have to talk about waterboarding. And we don't have to talk about that in D.C., do we?
No.
No. Got everything else to talk about, though. How's your week going?
The week is really going well. Thanks for asking. Despite the fact that we're going very fast towards the holiday season, there's no shortage of business to do in the city. I want to just acknowledge both the French ambassador and Councilmember Jack Evans, two great supporters of Washington, D.C. from different perches.
Yeah, from different perches.
Right. Jack said he was one of the first to ever do this,
yeah,
if not
he really
the first.
Was. Yeah, 6 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, we're aging here.
You're always ahead of your time.
Well,
Evans.
because it is. You oversee a city, unlike any other mayor in the country, that does have all these different components. You're not only the mayor of the President of the United States, you're the mayor of a robust diplomatic community. I don't know really, given your day and your agenda, how much time you have to worry about any of them, but they matter, they pop up. The national scene is always part of your day.
Well, it's true. Just last night I was at the Italian ambassador's home. You can't make it to all these, but my grandfather, John Perno, he wouldn't have let me go another day in office if I didn't get a chance to talk to the Italian president, which I got a chance to do last night.
You've got some Italian blood in there?
We met the French President Sarkozy, who's doing a great job. He's a runner, by the way.
Is he?
So when I make it to France, we're going to go running with President Sarkozy.
Do you think you can get him to come here and do the triathlon with you next year?
There you go. We'll both swim in the Potomac.
That would be wonderful. I think we should consider that an invitation given right here from the Q&A Cafe. So there are upsides to the job, right?
I mean, and for me, and I know Councilmember Evans feels the exact same way. I mean, going out to a community meeting, and I know for most people this may not be what you consider a thrill, but Jack and I, we love going just to talk to regular D.C. residents and to give them confidence that we are listening to them and trying to fix their problems. I really get excited by the very basics of being mayor, and it was the same case when I was council member.
How much different, if at all, and I imagine there has to be some difference, to when you sat here a year ago and now you're back after a year in the job, or almost a year in the job, how is it different than what you expected?
Well, you know, I knew a lot about the city growing up here, being council member, and I knew a lot about the government for the same reasons. So I can't say that there were any quote-unquote surprises, but what I just am overwhelmed with, and I tell this to everyone who asks the same question, is the energy, the hopefulness, the optimism in Washington, D.C. right now. I mean, it really is just through the roof.
Yeah.
I mean, everywhere we go, we were in Ward 5 this week, 200 seniors, everyone's excited. We just left Ward 8, where we got very good grades on HIV and AIDS efforts by DC Appleseed, and obviously there's so much going on around here in the Georgetown area. So it's just a lot of positive things. People are excited, and I think schools just kind of tops the list. That's kind of like, that's the one thing that people kind of always say, Fenty, I like what you're doing on the schools.
Right.
Last year we were here, they said, Fenty, fix the schools. Obviously we're not there yet, but now they're saying, we like what you're doing, keep it up.
When you started out on fixing the schools, did you think this week would come when you have, I don't want to say a mutiny in the city council, but where you've got a city council that is becoming more, difficult for you?
Well, I mean,
you expected this?
I think if you push difficult issues, if you push the type of reform agenda that we're pushing, I think it's safe and responsible to expect that there is going to be pushback. There's not going to be unanimity. And legislatures, by definition, no matter where you are, have so many different points of view.
Yeah.
It's actually what makes them important and work well. And that's the same case with our city council, which I think the world of. And it was the same way when I served on the city council.
Where do you think the disconnect is? I mean, why do you think that Mayor Barry and Mr. Thomas introduced this legislation where they want to have approval on the schools that you close?
Well, as I sit here today, the first thing I'd like to say is I think that, again, the energy in the community amongst average residents of the District of Columbia to see change is overwhelming. In fact, I actually think, although some people criticize us for moving too fast, I actually think regular people are saying move faster. I think they're saying.
I don't disagree.
Yeah,
but how do you get that message to the city council?
Well, I think, again, there are 13 members of the city council, and everyone agrees the city council's role is to hold the executive accountable, to do strong oversight, and then all 13 members have different ideas of how that oversight it should happen. And I think you have to respect every individual member. I think what is clear, though, and I want to just get directly to your point, when we went through the great debate about changing the governance structure, and again, this bill would never have passed if Councilmember Evans hadn't taken a leadership role along with Chairman Gray. When we did that, in the law, legally, we changed everywhere where it said Board of Education, we changed it to mayor.
Right.
And that is the biggest difference. So we used to have 9 people who had to kind of caucus and debate before you would make a decision. Now there's just 1. And one of those things were a school closing. So before, if you wanted to close a school, the 9 members of the Board of Education had to vote on it. Now it's just the mayor.
Right.
And so that very simple but
power.
substantive legal change that we made obviously applies to closing schools. It's for lack of a better definition, it's a management decision, rather than a legislative or budget or oversight decision.
What would you like to say to the city? What would you like to say to Marion Barry, or if Jack could take a message back?
Yeah.
You know,
and
does
again,
that smile say all what you'd like to say?
No. I think it's a great question.
What compromise do you want to get to with them on this?
Again, I think what we say very clearly is that we respect, appreciate, and support the strong oversight of the council, and that we understand that there are various different opinions on how to do that strong oversight. I think what we expect to be held accountable for is the performance of kids in our system, whether grades are going up, whether test scores are going up, whether more kids are going to college, whether less kids are dropping out.
Right.
These are the objectives that we expect the city council and the entire city of the District of Columbia to say either they have gone up and you've done a good job, or if they haven't, you have to be held accountable, Mr. Mayor and Mrs. Chancellor.
Well, you got elected to do this.
Yes.
And what I don't understand, well, I mean, I understand the politics, but when I read, I've spent the last 24 hours reading about your last 24 hours. And I read this stuff and I think, wait a second, it's a system that's broken. Yeah. Everybody must agree it has to be fixed. You can't fix it without sort of blowing it up.
No question.
And I just wonder inside your head, when you hit these roadblocks that you're now facing, how do you get through these? I mean, when you go home, when you went home last night and you were thinking about this, what were you thinking? Because you had a rough day.
Well, actually, I mean, to be honest with you,
after the French or the Italian embassy,
I enjoy every aspect of my job.
Even the problems.
Yeah, the challenges, the debates. People disagree. I see it as part of the democratic process. So I don't tend to dwell on when there's opposition. I think what we have to do is let people know that we respect their opinion, we'll listen to it, and we're not going to dismiss it. We're going to try and show people that this is the way that we think things should be done.